Hello friends, welcome to the Funs by Fawad. Today, we will talk about Steven Cesari's book Clarity. RV is a 32-year-old ordinary man who always wanted to do something big in his life but kept getting stuck in one confusion or another. With his first cup of tea in the morning, only one question lingered in his mind: what am I really doing with my life? His job was decent, but it lacked satisfaction. The responsibilities of home, debts, and the pressure to prove himself weighed heavily on him. One day, while rearranging his old books, RV found a dusty cardboard box containing a book titled Clarity: How to Gain It, How to Maintain It, and How to Use It to Balance Your Life by Steven Cesari. He couldn't remember when he had bought it. He absent-mindedly flipped through the pages. On the very first page, bold letters read, "The Importance of Clarity." Below it was written, "Creating clarity in your life is crucial for decision-making and achieving goals." Perhaps this was what had been missing in his life. He picked up his teacup, sat comfortably on the sofa, and began reading the first chapter. The first chapter explained that clarity isn't just about seeing or understanding things, but about recognizing your priorities, what truly matters, holding on to them, and ignoring everything else. One line made RV think deeply: a clear vision allows you to face challenges more effectively. RV asked himself, what is my vision? What do I truly want from my life? He didn't know the answer, and that was his biggest problem. He read further in the book that clarity not only helps you make the right decisions but also directs your energy and time to the right places. RV felt as if the book had been written specifically for him. The book gave him a small exercise: write down the 5 most important things in your life. RV picked up a pen and, after some thought, wrote: 1. Family, 2. Health, 3. Career, 4. Financial freedom, 5. Mental peace. As he wrote, he realized he was heading in a completely different direction from these 5 priorities. He had no time for his family, his health was neglected, his gym membership was limited to just the card, he had no time to think about career growth, financial freedom was a struggle of paying EMIs and bills, and mental peace seemed like a luxury item everyone had except him. RV felt a bit panicked but also relieved. He was finally understanding the root cause of his troubles. He read in the book that the first step to gaining clarity is to identify the things that distract you. The book advised that the best way to handle distractions is to pause and reflect. That is, whenever you feel confused, take a small break and think about what you're doing and what the purpose behind it is. RV decided that for the next 7 days, he would pause and reflect before making any decision. He closed the book and started his day. The first challenge came that evening. His college friend Akash called him and said, "Let's go to Goa this weekend." At first, RV was excited, but then he remembered: pause and reflect. He asked himself, is this trip aligning with any of my priorities? He realized that his current goal was to achieve financial freedom. The Goa trip would only deplete his savings. He politely declined. Akash joked, "Man, you've become boring," but surprisingly, RV didn't feel bothered. For the first time, he felt clarity in his decision. The next day at the office, another interesting incident occurred. His boss wanted to assign him a new project that would definitely require overtime. RV was about to say yes, but then he paused and reflected. He thought, if I take this project, what will happen to my health and family time? He respectfully declined. His clarity was slowly becoming evident in every aspect of his life. He no longer saw things superficially but tried to understand the why behind them. RV now started carrying a small notebook with him, where he wrote 3 things at the end of each day. 1. Did I focus on my priorities today? 2. What things distracted me? 3. Did I make decisions with clarity? Gradually, changes began to appear in his life. His stress was reducing, and he felt more confident. He thought, if just the first lesson of clarity made such a difference in my life, what will the next lessons reveal? After finishing the first chapter, he wanted to move on to the next, but then there was a knock on the door. His 6-year-old son, Arko, came running to show him his drawing. He said, "Papa, look, I made a sketch of you." RV picked him up and looked at the entire drawing. He thought, maybe this is clarity, not just writing down your priorities but feeling them. He decided he would spend the next weekend with his son and wife. The story doesn't end here. A new journey had begun within RV to redefine his goals and priorities. He started reading the next chapter of the book, but a question lingered in his heart: can my clarity become even stronger by sharing it with others? When RV started the next chapter, it read in bold letters, "Live with Purpose." The lines below caught his attention. Living with purpose means being proactive about your choices, not reactive. Clear goals align your daily activities with your long-term objectives. He closed the book and shut his eyes for a while. He remembered the changes from the past week. The first lesson of clarity had taught him how important it is to recognize priorities, but now the question was how to achieve those priorities. This was the question in his heart as he began reading the chapter. The lesson began with a small incident. A man who made decisions every day without thinking never succeeded in anything. But when he started living with purpose, making every decision thoughtfully, his entire life changed. RV thought to himself, can I do this too? Can I live my life with purpose instead of being reactive? The book suggested the first step: clearly define your goals. That is, start your day by thinking about what your focus for the day should be. RV wrote in his notebook that morning: 1. I will have dinner with my family today. 2. I will review my pending financial goals. 3. I will spend only 15 minutes on social media. RV felt that when he set these 3 simple goals, it felt like he had a roadmap. He was no longer doing things randomly. His first test came that morning. His wife Nandini said, "Come home early for dinner tonight, it's been a while since we ate together." RV immediately said, "Sure," but at the office, his boss suddenly scheduled an urgent meeting that would go on till late evening. RV had a choice: he could react, attend the meeting, and skip family dinner, or he could choose his priority with purpose. He paused and reflected. He remembered that he had set a goal in the morning to have dinner with his family. He politely requested his boss if the meeting could be postponed to the next day. Perhaps luck was on his side, as the boss said, "Okay, we can reschedule it for tomorrow morning." RV realized that if he hadn't chosen his priority with purpose, he might have reacted and skipped the family dinner. That evening, as he sat at the table, Nandini said, "Thank you, RV, this means a lot," and their son happily shared that he had made new friends at school. RV realized that living with purpose isn't just about achieving big goals but also valuing small moments. The book's second step was, be proactive, not reactive. This meant not leaving your life on autopilot. When a situation arises, instead of reacting, think about how you can align that moment with your goals. The next day at the office, RV faced another test. His colleague Samar suddenly took a leave, and his workload fell on RV. Earlier, RV would have gotten irritated and complained, but this time he thought, is this situation aligned with my career goals? RV realized this was an opportunity to prove himself. He accepted the work but made it clear to his manager that he needed some additional resources to handle it effectively. The manager was impressed, and in the next month's performance review, RV was praised. The book suggested that the third step to living with purpose is, break down your long-term goals into daily actions. RV decided to work on his financial freedom goal. He started analyzing his monthly expenses. He saw that unnecessary subscriptions and excessive online shopping were eating into his savings. He made a simple rule: before every expense, pause and ask yourself, is this aligned with my financial goals? One day, he saw an expensive gadget online that he really liked. He was about to buy it when he paused and thought, will this support my savings goal? The answer was clear: no. He added the gadget to his wishlist and avoided it. Gradually, RV's daily choices began aligning with his bigger goals. He realized that living with purpose isn't just about abandoning reactive behavior but finding purpose in every decision. Then, one weekend, Nandini said, "Let's go somewhere, it's been a while since we went out." At first, RV naturally thought this would be an unnecessary expense, but then he paused and asked himself, is this important for my family's happiness and bonding? The answer was, yes. He immediately made a plan, and they spent the entire weekend at a nearby hill station. RV read in the next part of the book that another important element of living with purpose is, learn to say no. He understood that when you say yes to everything, you waste your energy and time on things that don't align with your priorities. Now, whenever someone invited him to something that didn't align with his priorities, he politely declined. He felt that every no gave him more space for his priorities. One day, his old friend Rajat called him and said, "Dude, you have to come to my party, all the old friends are coming." At first, RV thought he should go, but then he paused and thought, is this aligned with my goals? He realized he wanted to focus on his health at that time, and a late-night party wasn't suitable. He declined Rajat. Rajat showed some annoyance, but RV didn't feel guilty inside. RV's life was now moving towards living with purpose. He felt clarity in his decisions. He now defined the purpose of each day and planned his daily activities accordingly. But one day, he read in the book, living with purpose also means being flexible. He thought, will I ever be able to do that? To live with purpose while being flexible? RV learned another important thing from this lesson: living with purpose isn't a one-time act but something you practice every day, every moment, in every decision. He wrote on the last page of his notebook, live each day with purpose, so that when you look back, you don't regret how you spent your time. RV was now curious about what the next lesson in the book would teach him. He closed the book and started setting goals for his next day. The next morning, RV opened the next chapter of the book. It read in bold letters, balance. Below it was written, achieving balance is essential for different aspects of life like work, relationships, health, and personal growth. RV started reading the chapter, but his eyes kept stopping at one line. When one area of your life repeatedly troubles you, imbalance leads to stress and unhappiness. He paused and looked at his life. He thought, am I maintaining balance in my life? The answer was clear, no. Office deadlines were so heavy that he often skipped family time. Health seemed to have disappeared from his priority list. Personal growth was limited to reading a random book on Sundays. The book suggested that the first step to achieving balance is, set boundaries for each area. RV decided he wouldn't do office work after 7 p.m., would spend every weekend with his family on outings or activities, dedicate 30 minutes every morning to exercise, and work on a new skill or book every week. At first, all this seemed unrealistic to RV, but as he started enforcing his boundaries, he realized it was possible. The next day at the office, the first challenge came. An urgent email arrived at 7:15 p.m. Earlier, RV would have responded immediately, but this time he paused and thought, is this breaking my set boundaries? He left the email for the next morning. At first, he felt a bit guilty, but when he saw that the email could be handled in the morning, he understood that reacting to every urgent thing wasn't necessary. The book's second step was, prioritize without hesitation. The book explained that balance doesn't mean giving equal time to everything but giving each thing the time it deserves. RV applied this strategy to relationships. His wife Nandini often complained that he didn't make time for the family. This time, he deliberately dedicated the entire Sunday to his family. They planned a fun picnic. When RV was at the picnic, a friend called him, inviting him to meet at a coffee shop. Earlier, RV would have said yes, but this time he declined. He didn't feel guilty because he realized his current priority was his family. The book's third step was, take care of yourself first. It read, you can't pour from an empty cup. That is, if you don't take care of your health and well-being, it will affect other areas too. Reading this, RV remembered his neglected health routine. He decided to fix his health. He renewed his gym membership and started morning walks. On the first day of his walk, he felt like it was a waste of time, but by the third day, he realized that these 30 minutes were refreshing him mentally and physically. He also started paying attention to his diet. Gradually, he noticed that as his health improved, his work performance and mood also improved. He felt more energetic and happier at home. The book's fourth step was, regularly review and adjust. It read that balance isn't a one-time act, life is always changing, and you need to adjust your approach over time. A month later, RV took out his notebook and reviewed all 4 pillars again. He saw that setting work boundaries had reduced stress, productivity had increased, relationships had improved, health had gotten better, and efforts towards personal growth had increased. RV's life was now gradually becoming balanced. He learned from this lesson that balance isn't a final destination but an ongoing process that you practice daily. He promised himself that he would review the balance in his life every month. He closed the book and thought, what new lesson will the next chapter bring? The next morning, RV opened his book and read the title of the new chapter, Eliminate Clutter. The very first line of the lesson made him think, to achieve clear thinking and goals, you must eliminate the clutter that holds you back, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. RV asked himself, what clutter in my life is holding me back? At first, he couldn't think of anything, but as he read the chapter, his eyes began to open. The book suggested a small exercise. Take a piece of paper and make 3 columns, 1. Physical clutter, 2. Mental clutter, 3. Emotional clutter. RV took out his notebook and started writing. Physical clutter, old clothes lying in the wardrobe for years, gadgets that had broken but he never thought of throwing away, files and random notes on the desk that were no longer useful. Mental clutter, the pressure of small pending tasks at the office, the never-ending to-do list, excessive use of social media. Emotional clutter, expectations from people that would never be fulfilled, old fights and complaints that still lingered in his heart, guilt over his mistakes. As he wrote all this, he realized the clutter in his life. The book read, to achieve clear thinking, you must first eliminate this clutter. RV decided to start with physical clutter. The book read, your physical environment reflects your mental state. He opened his wardrobe and saw many clothes he hadn't worn in years. He asked himself, will I wear these again? The answer was clear, no. He immediately made 3 piles. 1. Keep, clothes that were still usable. 2. Donate, clothes that could be useful to someone else. 3. Discard, clothes that were completely ruined. The process was amazing. He cleared everything and kept only what was truly useful. As his desk cleared, he felt his mind also becoming more organized. The next day, he decided to work on mental clutter. He read in the book that mental clutter often arises from disorganized tasks and distractions. His biggest culprit was social media. RV turned off notifications for social media apps on his phone. He made a rule to check social media only twice a day. The first few days were difficult. He kept wanting to pick up his phone and open the apps, but gradually, he felt he had more time and mental peace by distancing himself from social media. Now it was time for emotional clutter. This was the hardest part. The book read, emotional clutter is the burden that holds you back from moving forward. RV asked himself, what unresolved emotions do I have in my life? He remembered a few things, a fight with his childhood friend Rajat after which they hadn't spoken, a misunderstanding with an old colleague, guilt over his past failures. The book said that to eliminate emotional clutter, you either need to resolve it or let it go. RV first called Rajat. At first, it felt awkward, but he thought, if I don't take the initiative, this burden will stay with me forever. He talked to Rajat and expressed his feelings. Surprisingly, Rajat also said he wanted to reconcile. He wrote an email to his colleague, apologizing for the misunderstanding. In response, the colleague also apologized. RV felt as if a weight had been lifted from his heart. Handling guilt was the hardest. He decided to forgive himself for his mistakes. He wrote, mistakes make you better, I won't let them weigh me down. RV gradually began eliminating clutter from every aspect of his life. He felt that as distractions and negative emotions decreased, clear thinking naturally increased. After this entire process, he wrote in his notebook, after removing physical clutter, my environment and mind are both organized. Reducing mental clutter has made it easier to focus, clearing emotional clutter has improved my relationships and inner peace. He closed the book and thought, will the next chapter give me an even more powerful lesson? The next morning, with his tea, RV opened the new chapter of the book. Reading the title gave him a different kind of excitement, the power of exposure. The opening lines were, growth and clear thinking come when you step out of your comfort zone and expose yourself to new ideas, people, and experiences. Reading this, RV felt that this was perhaps what had been missing the most in his life. Over the past few years, his routine had become so predictable and monotonous that there was no room for anything new or exciting. The book explained that exposure isn't limited to travel but is connected to anything that broadens your thinking and perspective, whether it's a new book, a conversation with a stranger, or trying to learn a new skill. As RV read the chapter, he asked himself, "When was the last time I stepped out of my comfort zone?" He couldn't recall anything significant. He decided that this time, he would fully apply the book's lesson to his life. The book suggested a simple exercise: make a list of 5 new things you've always wanted to do but never did because of fear. RV took out his notebook and started thinking. He wrote, 1. Learn a new skill, like playing the guitar. 2. Go on a solo trip. 3. Talk to someone I've always avoided. 4. Explore a completely different culture. 5. Do volunteer work. The first step was, try a new skill. RV thought he had always wanted to learn the guitar since childhood but had never been serious about it. That same day, he searched online and registered for weekend classes at a nearby music institute. On his way to the first class, RV felt a bit nervous. Everyone else there was also new, but they all seemed more confident than him. In the first session, he was trying to learn some chords and kept making mistakes, but surprisingly, he was enjoying those mistakes. A month later, when he played his first small tune, the joy he felt was something he hadn't experienced in a long time. He realized that learning something new isn't just about acquiring a skill but also gaining a new perspective and confidence. The second step was, go on a solo trip. This was the hardest for RV. He had always been part of group trips or family vacations, but this time he chose a different place. He headed to a small village in Himachal Pradesh. The biggest fear during the trip was, will I get bored alone in the car? But as soon as he started spending time in the serene valleys there, he realized that solitude isn't scary. He met new people there, a tea seller, an artist seeking inspiration in the mountains, and a solo traveler sharing stories of his life. These encounters made RV realize how unique every person's life is and how we can draw inspiration from others' stories. The third step was, talk to someone you've always avoided. RV thought of his office colleague Niharika, with whom he never got along. They always stuck to formal conversations, and RV thought she was rude and selfish. The book read, sometimes your misconceptions about people prevent you from forming meaningful relationships. RV decided to deliberately try to talk to Niharika. During lunch break, he sat next to her and started a conversation. At first, it was a bit awkward, but gradually, he realized that Niharika's rude attitude was actually part of her reserved nature. He asked her about her interests and, surprisingly, found common ground in many things. After this one conversation, his professional relationship with Niharika improved significantly. RV learned that sometimes exposure isn't just about new experiences but also connecting with people with an open mind. The fourth step was, explore a different culture. The book suggested that to broaden your thinking, you should try to understand another culture closely. RV started a conversation with his South Indian colleague, Srinivas. Srinivas invited him to his home for dinner. There, RV had authentic South Indian food for the first time and learned about their festivals and customs. He saw how traditions differ across cultures, but emotions are the same everywhere. This exposure taught RV a new appreciation for cultural diversity. He felt that until we understand other cultures with an open mind, we can't broaden our thinking. The fifth step was, do volunteer work. RV decided to dedicate his time to a good cause. He contacted a nearby NGO that taught underprivileged children. On the first day, he felt a bit nervous. He thought he wouldn't be able to teach the kids anything, but when he started talking to them, he realized he could learn a lot from them too. One child asked him, "Brother, have you ever had a big dream?" This question shook RV to the core. He realized that dreams aren't limited to big cities or wealthy people. These children's small dreams were just as big and beautiful. This experience taught RV humility and humanity. He understood that growth isn't limited to professional achievements. As he took these steps, RV felt powerful changes in his life. He realized how much new ideas, experiences, and connecting with people had impacted his thinking and clarity. The book's final advice was, never stop exposing yourself to the unknown. Every new experience adds a new layer to your understanding of the world. RV promised himself that he would try something new every month. So friends, that was the summary of today's book. How did you like it? Do let us know in the comments. And thank you for listening till the end of the summary.